Syria, for example, is a mayhem, regardless of Israel. Iraq is a mayhem, regardless of Israel. Lebanon had 2 civil wars without any connection to Israel. Yemen, the Houthis are fighting the government regardless of Israel. The tribes in Sudan were slaughtering each other for 100 years without any connection to Israel. The Algerians in the 90s were slaughtering each other. 150,000 Algerians were slaughtered by Algerians. Algeria and Morocco are fighting or a dispute about the Western Sahara regardless of Israel. The Turks and the Kurds are killing each other en masse. Nothing to do with Israel. In Iran, there are domestic issues between the regime, which is more or less Persian, and the minorities.
You're saying that after speaking about the roots of and origins of this area and the reasons for the attack, you're saying what is the next step and what is the solution. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in this solution, you're saying that is a solution for the whole area, not just for Israel or for Gaza.
Of course.
And you're saying, and when I'm speaking about the world and the world reaction and how does the world should treat or react to those actions, I think that, and I would like to hear your opinion about it, but I think that we're speaking about 2 factors. First of all is understanding the area, understanding the Arabs and the Islam. And second of all, I imagine to use force. The West world doesn't want to use force, even against the Nazis Germany or other places. They let Hitler, for example, to enter a lot of territories before doing anything with it. And when you're speaking about the Israeli case, you're saying, if I understand correctly, that part of the solution would be to use force and to show the enemies that Israel can resist.
This is the basis of everything. Because if you're not powerful, so people will just kick you out. Because, this is the Middle East. If you are the other, remember the water. Mm-hmm. If you are powerful, they will leave you. They don't love you, but they will leave you. If you are weak, they will kick you out, because this is the culture of the Middle East. So Israel cannot allow itself to be weak. Okay, so this is the basis of thinking. If we Jews want to survive on our forefathers' land, we have to be united, and we have to be strong initially, and to the others. And yes, if somebody tries to mess with us, he should know that there is a big price, disproportionate price, and this is a part of deterrence. There is no deterrence with proportionality, which is an invention of the Israeli Supreme Court. There is no deterrence like this. If you want to deter your enemies, deterrence is achieved when your enemy knows for sure that anything which he is doing will cost him a lot. And I mean a lot. And only this will deter him. Or not. But deterrence, if it exists on this.
Before this conversation, I thought that Israel is a good thing for the world. Again, using the word good is not suitable here, but it's a peaceful country that preserve peace maybe and preserve the stability in this area. I'm trying to say, basically...
No. Israel doesn't preserve stability in this area. Syria, for example, is a mayhem, regardless of Israel. Iraq is a mayhem, regardless of Israel. Lebanon had 2 civil wars without any connection to Israel. Yemen, the Houthis are fighting the government regardless of Israel. The tribes in Sudan were slaughtering each other for 100 years without any connection to Israel. The Algerians in the 90s were slaughtering each other. 150,000 Algerians were slaughtered by Algerians. Not so much about Israel. Algeria and Morocco are fighting or a dispute about the Western Sahara regardless of Israel. The Turks and the Kurds are killing each other en masse. Nothing to do with Israel. In Iran, there are domestic issues between the regime, which is more or less Persian, and the minorities. the Arab minority, the Kurdish minority, the Baluchi minority. Israel has no role in what happens in Iran. So the Arab world and the Islamic world are fragmented and suffer from disputes and feuds without any connection to Israel, and nothing which Israel can do will solve the problem between the Sunni and the Shia, between tribes and ethnic groups in the Middle East. So this is why even peace between Israel and the Palestinians will not solve any one of the any problem in the Middle East, because no problem is connected to Israel except for the Israeli issue, but nothing which the Arab world suffers from comes from Israel. On the contrary, as I mentioned, the tribalism, which is hundreds of thousands years old, is the biggest problem in the Arab world. And you can add to this the Islam, because Islam actually failed in bringing peace between Arabs and Muslims. Yeah. Because you can see all these fights between Arabs and Muslims, and they are all Muslims. And they're all Muslims, and they still butcher each other. That's why Islam in this case actually failed, even to bring peace between Muslims, to turn them into one ummah, one united ummah. It failed. It totally failed. And the result is this bloodshed. Look, in the 80s, there was a vicious war between Iran and Iraq. 1 million people got killed on both sides, including chemical weapons, which they were gassing each other to death. So, and they're all Muslims.
No, yeah.
Okay, so it means that Islam, which came to the world to bring peace between Muslims, total failure.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, they blame Israel for being the problem, although the problems, the Shia-Sunni dispute started in the year of 632 when Muhammad died.
Yeah.
Oh, is it because, of course, because of Israel? Because
of the Jews.
Okay,
yeah.
So if we want to sum, no doubt what happened on October 7 is some kind of reflection of the Middle East culture. And we have to deal with this when we understand the culture of the Middle East, because otherwise we won't know how to deal with this. And here, Israel must restore its deterrence, because evidently Israel lost the deterrence. Mm-hmm. Israel has to unite its ranks within Israel, because what happened in the last year, all these feuds and disputes about the reform, the judicial reform and others, definitely weakened Israel, at least in the eyes of the jihadists. And Israel has to solve these problems and return to the image of a united society, although we are some different, let's say, cultures.
Groups, yeah, of course.
Yet we have to project the notion that we are one nation, one iron fist, that wow to those who will try to mess with it. And Hezbollah should be deterred by what we do in Gaza.
Yeah.
Because Hezbollah should know that, and we should repeat the warning that Israel will turn Lebanon back to the Stone Age if they mess with Israel.
Yeah.
And now, we have to deal with Hamas, although they are abandoned by Iran, abandoned by Hezbollah. So far, they didn't start a war, an all-out war against Israel, because Hamas surprised them. Yeah. So they actually say to Hamas, hey guys, you took all the weapons which we gave you, you took all the ammunition, you took all the money, and you wasted it on a war which you cannot win, because Israel is too powerful when it comes to you only.
Did you read it? It's from the same sources that you have in
I
other
understood it from the sources. In the third day of the attack, of the war, a guy named Musa Abu Marzouk, who is more or less the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hamas, was interviewed in one of the Arab channels. And the interviewer asks him, what what do the Iranians tell you about the whole thing? Where are the Iranians? So he says, we are calling them and they don't answer.
I saw it.
They don't pick the phone. It means that the Iranians are mad at Hamas. Hassan Nasrallah spoke 28 days for the first time after the war started. And he, in his speech, mentioned without any doubt, Hamas started this war according to Hamas' decision. We were not part of it, and we wish them good luck. It means that, hey guys, you betrayed us by starting a war against Israel without us. And now, don't forget, the whole world now is much more aware of the Iranian influence and the Iranian intervention in other countries. The world is much more aware of the problem in the north from Hezbollah. And lo and behold, there is a Ford aircraft area in the sea right across from Lebanon with 8 or 9 warships around it. And this flotilla has the ability to flatten Iran entirely. The firepower which they have. So Iran didn't expect this flotilla in the sea.
Yeah.
For them, it's a real surprise. And now they are waiting. And they are angry at Hamas. Nasrallah said it. And Reuters also reported from Tehran that Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas, actually came to Iran and he met with Khamenei, the supreme leader, and Khamenei shouted at him for the fact that the Hamas started the war by themselves. I don't need more than these 3 things as an evidence that Hamas did it. And this actually what explains that until this very day, 56 or 7 or 8 days after the beginning of the war, Hezbollah and Iran are still out of the war. So it really gives the explanation to many things. Although I didn't see any official announcement by Hamas that, we started by ourselves. Maybe they hope that after 2, 3, 4 days, especially when the ground operation starts, Iran and Hezbollah will interfere in order to keep Hamas in power.
Yeah. Okay.
Yet it doesn't
Interesting. We'll see.
They have not yet. Maybe as of now they will. But as of now, this war is still only between Israel and Hamas. All the other Iranian proxies have not yet begun, especially if you take into account the border clashes between Israel and Lebanon, which are almost nothing compared to the Lebanese ability to launch missiles, long-range missiles, into Israel, as they said, Mabad Haifa, means to something beyond Haifa, which means Tel Aviv.
Yeah, of course. Okay, before we finish, I wanted to ask you as well about phenomenon in Europe and in the US. We can see a lot of organizations, Muslim associations, in students associations, and we can see individuals that are publishing content about Islam and people are converting and so on. Do you have any opinion about those phenomenons or
Look, there are people in the States, in Europe, who convert to Islam. Thousands of them. And many of them actually became terrorists. You know, the shoe bomber was a guy who was born not as a Muslim, but he converted to Islam. There was a lady in Britain, actually blonde lady, who converted to Islam, and she was behind an attack on a mall, Islamic attack, on a mall. I think it was in Nairobi, I'm not sure, in one of the capitals of Africa. Definitely Christians are being persecuted by Islam. You could see it in Iraq. most of the Christians ran away after some attacks against Christians. Most of the Coptic Christians in Egypt ran away from Egypt because of the Muslim Brotherhood and their behavior against the Christians. And minorities are being persecuted in the Middle East, unfortunately, because of the Islamic thinking that if you are not a Muslim, your land, your property, your daughters are allowed to be taken by the Muslims.
Do you think that the USA or Europe should react or do something with those or against those phenomena?
Look, it is very hard to operate against what people believe in.
Of course.
It's not easy. I will be more than happy to know that they actually are active in a way which will, on one side, help them get rid of a problem, like Hamas. On the other side, they do not wake all the bears in the forest against you.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Thank you very much. So
pleasure, Asaf.
Yeah, thank you very much. So you're saying basically that we were dealing with the question of the
culture.
The cultural and the Islamic. Yeah.
Without learning the culture, don't even try to do anything in the Middle East.
Yeah. And you think that the solution would be to divide those sections or those areas to smaller?
It will start with this.
Yeah.
And of course, Israel will have to be there in order to prove to whoever needs the proof that Israel is invincible, powerful, and dangerous.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Asaf.
And I want to thank as well Zank Studio for hosting us. And most importantly, of course, all of you for taking the time and listen to this podcast. If you have any suggestion about the reasons for the attack or any other thing that you want to share with us, we would love to hear about it in the comments. So please do so. And if you have suggestions, for the name for this podcast, please comment as well. We're going to choose the name with the most likes. Next week, we're going to have here a Lieutenant Colonel from the Israeli IDF, an international relationship expert. So stay tuned. And in the meantime, stay curious and most importantly, stay safe. Thank you very much.